And the nightingale drops dead, and there's a rose. And it's morning, and the student wakes up, and he just happens to look out of his window, and he cries out in delight. Why, what a wonderful piece of luck, he cried. Here is a red rose. I have never seen any rose like it in all my life. It is so beautiful that I'm sure it has a long Latin name. And he leaned down and plucked it. And as he plucked it, he didn't even notice the dead nightingale which was lying near the rose tree. So the student is very happy, he's thrilled, he's excited that finally he's got his red rose, which is nothing short of a miracle. And with the red rose, he goes to the girl he loves and he tells her, see, I've done the impossible. I've got you a red rose. And she takes a look at the red rose and she says, oh, but I'm not so sure that this will go with my dress. And she says, maybe, it won't. And the student realized that she's been making a fool out of him all this while. And he is very agitated, he's disturbed, and he said, you said that you would dance with me if I brought you a red rose. Here is the reddest rose in the world. You will wear it tonight next to your heart, and as we dance together, it'll tell you how I love you. But the girl is not convinced, and she says, no, sorry. I don't think it'll go with my attire. And plus there are many people who are willing to give me gifts that are much better than your rose. Do you think a string of pearls or some piece of jewelry is your rose can equate the worth of a string of pearls or some jewelry? And she says, I don't care for your rose. And the student is so infuriated with her response that he just walks out of her house in a huff and he tosses the road on the ground on the street where a cartwheel goes over the rose and the rose is crushed. And the student says, upon my word, you're very ungrateful, said the student. And he threw the rose into the street, where it fell into the gutter and a cartwheel went over it. And that is the end of the story. So, this story makes us reflect on certain aspects, who sacrificed and for what. The nightingale gave up its life for a cause which the student never came to know about. There are so many nightingale like beings who are catering to us, who give up their lives so that we can afford luxuries, we can afford pleasures, and yet we do not even know these people. The nightingale is a romantic. The nightingale is an incurable idealist who believes in ideal love. On the other hand, if we look at the student, what happens after the student tosses the road on the street? He comes back to his room and he says, "Oh, I think all this love business and all, it's all emotional trash. And I don't think I'm going to preoccupy myself or waste my time anymore with this love business. I'd rather go back to philosophy or logic, which are more fruitful pursuits." So that's what the student does. So if we reflect on something, we will recall that the student, despite fuming and fretting, and mumbling that I don't have a rose, I don't have a rose. The student actually does not take any constructive effort to procure a rose. If he had been that serious, he would have gone out of his way, he would have blazed some trails to get a rose. So it's not that the student is actually very serious. Perhaps when he was speaking about his feelings, it was all rhetoric, because had he been so passionately involved or had he desired the girl so fervently, he would have definitely thought of a way of procuring the rose. So, in all, we see that the nightingale gives up its life for nothing.